Welcome to episode 5 of the Fantasy Boss podcast. Pads have been on for a week now, and a week of pads just did something August almost never does. It took a top 50 receiver off the board for the entire season, and it did it without anybody getting hit. I'm Ronald, that's Ryan, let's go. Ryan, what are your thoughts on old Mr. Pearsall?
Man, it's super unfortunate, honestly, because the people that know him, that followed him when he was in college, know that he had a pretty good bill of health for the duration of his time. Whether it was at Arizona State or Florida or whatever. He was always pretty good and he was healthy, super consistent. So then just enter NFL and whatever's going on, man, with these Niners. I swear there's something in the water. There's something going on because everything just changes. Unfortunately for him. From the outside looking in anyway, it seems like he may have gotten some bad advice in terms of how he should have attacked this rehab. Obviously, he opted, it sounded like, to decline surgery. I think he got hurt in like week 4 of last year, so he should have been back. Like, he should have been good by now, but they opted to let it heal on its own, and it didn't go the way that they wanted it to. So they find themselves in a situation where now they have to have him go and get this done right now and cost him the whole year. So I'm sure he's sick about it. I'm sure Niners fans and fantasy managers, dynasty managers are all sick about it. But yeah, man, it sucks for him. But ultimately, somebody's going to have to step up. They got plenty of guys that can. But yeah, redraft, he's out. Dynasty, put him in that IR slot and hope like hell he can get back to normal, before 2027 and be an asset for you in the future, because 26 obviously is out.
Yeah, it might be a good buy low for the long term, but every crisis creates an opportunity. So it's going to be some for your fantasy team, some for the Niners. Next man up, that room's now Mike Evans on a 3-year, $60 million deal. Got Debo on a 1-year deal. Got Christian Kirk, who's got calf issues already. Got the rookie Stribling there. So who you taking? You taking Debo at cost? You taking Mike Evans? How you feeling about Shanahan's offense now?
Man, I know, right? He's not even healthy. Shanahan's got problems of his own right now, man. And it's crazy what's going on. I swear to God, man.
San Fran curse.
You can't make this shit up, man. But, I think somebody's going to have to step up, and it's hard because it's hard to trust Evans as it is, like obviously he's had the hamstring issues in the past few years and he's
Mike
aging.
who?
And, yeah, Mike who? Mike
Sorry,
Jones.
that was way late.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, dude, now. Oh, man, glorious days. But anyways, yeah, no, I like Mike Evans' touchdown upside. I just don't know that he's going to be, I could see him right now, like on the sidelines, gimping around, testing out the hammy, testing out. He's already banged the quad up. He's already got a Q tag next to him, so it's tough. Like, obviously, he should be the guy there, but if he holds up, I would be surprised too. Debo is kind of a wild card to me. I don't know how you feel about it, but, everybody made fun of him for kind of being out of shape a couple of years ago, but he came in looking really lean and like he was out grinding hard in his training. So, I think right now, like, it remains to be seen where he's going to end up ADP wise because he just signed. So, definitely have some adjusting to do for Debo, but I'm sure he's going to have some positive, some progression here in his ADP. But I like him, man. If you can get him at the point he's at right now where he's free, he's in good shape. I like Debo. I would be targeting him because you look at Stribling as the other guy who's there, right? And he's already missing time. The worst thing you can do is miss time as a rookie, man. So that puts you behind the 8 ball. So, yeah, advantage Debo, I guess. He came out of nowhere and is looking like he could be a halfway decent asset for a fantasy manager right about now.
Yeah, league winner.
Yeah, he's got that potential. I mean, man, you don't want to wish bad on anybody, but McCaffrey's getting older. They got all these guys. Like, if Debo, he gets back in the backfield and takes the handoffs, he's the gadget guy, he's taking screens to the house. If he can get back to kind of just who he was, a couple years ago, he could be a hell of a good steal. I think that he's probably one of the better guys that they've got right now. And then kind of another guy, the only other one who surprisingly is going to be probably one of the most healthy guys they have is George Kittle. So you look at guys coming off a torn Achilles, you're like, oh, he's banged up, but they got some other good guys. Well, guess what? Those guys are down and out and beat up, man. Kittle's going to have to come out and play early in the year and probably really be a focal point as that season gets going. So I would say Kittle's probably the best deal of all, and out of the wide receivers, I probably rock with Debo as of right now, unless I see something that tells me otherwise coming up.
Yeah, especially at that price. I mean, going so late in the draft to cost you basically nothing to get some pretty good upside, all things considered. We don't usually see that kind of talent and opportunity, that late in the draft. So we'll see if his health holds up and if the attitude holds up. But some profit to be had there.
Yeah, exactly.
To the Falcons, what's going on with their QB room? Tua's got a tight back. Penix is out for 4 weeks. Now they're signing Cooper Rush to the practice squad. What's going on there?
Man, it's bad. I feel like it's just bad. Stefanski goes places and their quarterback situation just turns to trash. I don't know what it is, but he can't seem to get good quarterback play. I don't know if it's him or whatever's going on. But, yeah, man, I mean, Tua's not getting any younger. He's had plenty of problems. Obviously, Penix has had problems with those knees. I was really hoping that Penix would be cleared for 11-on-11 by training camp. I think that's what would have given him a really good chance to be a Week 1 starter. But, man, if you're going to miss the first 3 or 4 weeks of 11-on-11 in training camp, you are going to find yourself in trouble. He better have some urgency or would speed up his rehab or do something where he's out on the field competing, because if he wants to remain an NFL quarterback, he better find a way to come out and beat Tua for this job, because if he doesn't, he's going to be in trouble, and it's going to be another top 10 pick, wasted for them. So I believe in Penix. I think Penix is a hell of a lot better than Tua at this point, in their careers, all things considered. Tua's just out there. He was good for McDaniel, but in this system, maybe could he get by? Sure, just hand off to Bijan all game. But yeah, it would make me worried for their weapons if it was Tua out there for the majority of the season. I would be a little concerned with London and his ADP. Yeah, Bijan's probably the only one you really feel great about.
Yeah, speaking of Bijan, congrats. He got paid. Good for him. Make that money.
Yeah, good for him, man. He deserves it. He deserved probably more than that when you see what Zay got paid and then you see what Bijan got paid. You're like, oh, okay. What's going on?
And speaking of QBs, the Vikings QB room's got a deadline. Got old Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy. Murray seemed to have the edge on Saturday, the first day fans were let in. Then O'Connell said he wants clarity before the August 19th to 20th joint practice with Baltimore. So I think here the date is the actionable part, because most of us aren't drafting by August 19th. So we got some room to let that kind of play out. So who are you guessing on there, Murray or McCarthy?
It's funny. The whole time, I think everybody around the league probably, kind of felt like this was like it's a competition. It's like, does anybody believe that though? Like, and I know Murray signed for that minimum, but I don't know, for a team that wants to compete, I know it's a tough division, but for a team that really wants to try to win and compete, I don't really know if I see them giving, McCarthy the keys to the car this year. I really don't. So I think it's probably going to end up being Murray's job to lose. So far in camp, he's not exactly blowing anybody out of the water, though. I saw him today. He had like multiple highlights where he was bobbling snaps and then like just didn't even get on the ball, and people are like looking around like, oh no, what is happening here? So yeah, I don't feel great about either of them if they win the job. My prediction before he even signed there, after he left Arizona, was Murray's going to go to Minnesota on a 1-year deal, and this was going to be it for him. It's going to be his career. It's going to be the last year he starts in the NFL. He's going to be getting calls from AA baseball and the CFL probably in 27. But, I don't see it going well for any of them. I think it's a slight upgrade for Jay Jettas, if I'm being honest, over McCarthy last year. For Addison, too, probably a slight upgrade, but now they're competing with Jennings. So, it's not a sweet situation. You would have liked to see them get somebody better than Kyler in there. He struggled to even find Trey McBride, last year. Brissett was the one that was kind of feeding those guys. And, so I don't feel great if I'm owning, any part of Minnesota's passing game. And I don't know how you feel about it, man, but he's not a good fit for KOC either. If Murray wins this job, KOC wants timing routes, he wants rhythm, he wants pocket passing. He excels with like the Cousins of the world and all those other kind of guys. So Murray drops back and kind of like can't see very well, and then retreats and retreats and tries to do these crazy things. but that's not what fits with KOC. He wants it out. He wants it. That's why he was frustrated with McCarthy last year. It's like, hey, I want you to drop back, read the defense, and just get rid of the ball. Like as soon as you possibly can, put it in Jetta's hands. Yeah, right? Boom, 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 drop 2.5, 3 seconds out. Read the defense, play the game like you're supposed to play it, and neither guy can do that right now from what I'm seeing. And I think some of the beat reporters in Minnesota are looking around like, man, it's not a promising start.
Yeah, well, here's another good option for you. Well, another option for you. The Geno Smith. Let's talk about some of the video the Jets have been posting. He's hitting Mitchell for red zone TDs in the corner. Some practice reports name Mitchell his top target. Day 2, we see multiple deep connections to Mitchell, a great back shoulder throw to Garrett Wilson. Then after that, Geno goes 11-11, 4 TDs and team drills. Ball never hit the ground.
Dude.
Depth chart's looking like Wilson's number 1. No issues there. Then we got Mitchell and Omar Cooper coming in. Mitchell, after the coach traded him last year, went 24, 301, and 2 in 8 games. ADP almost 200. It doesn't cost much. So how you feeling about the Jets, some of their receivers, their quarterback? Maybe Geno fits in for some of your Kyler and McCarthy blues.
Yeah, it's funny because as a Raiders fan, like thinking of Geno is a little bit just not pleasant. But if you can think a little bit further back than that, you can recall a time where he was actually able to kind of sustain some value for his pass catchers. When he was in Seattle there, he did pretty well. So I actually feel like it's a better situation there right now than whatever Minnesota's got with this battle and with these guys like that. But yeah, I think Wilson has a much better year. And I was all over A.D. Mitchell, coming out of, Georgia and then Texas. I thought he was really good, but he was really raw. That's kind of the thing with Mitchell was like he was always really good running routes. He was just not so savvy. Like he was clean routes. Like he got separation, but his hands were inconsistent. His decision-making wasn't always great. And so the maturity thing you question, but now, you look at him and he's out there obviously training and kind of just bettering himself. And I think he always had a really high ceiling. So that's the thing that people, didn't realize about him was like, man, this guy always really had a really like a good set of tools and could be great if he just put it together. So it looks like he's starting to figure it out. And I think that, Geno, like if he could hit like the DKs of the world, like you're talking to Mitchell, that's his kind of game. He likes to get vertical, get down the field, get up and catch it over guys and toe tap and do those really phenomenal things. So, yeah, look out for A.D. Mitchell. And then, Omar Cooper looks good too. He had one over the shoulder deep down the field the other day from Geno, came up with it, while he was getting hit. So I really like him if they put him kind of in the slot or mix, him and Wilson at flanker and slot and leave kind of AD out on that boundary. You know what? And with the tight ends, man, Geno, things are looking up for Geno, man. He might actually be able to have an okay year fantasy-wise as a QB2 in some of these super flex leagues, man. He could prove to be a valuable asset.
Geno's going to lead the Jets to glory.
Can you imagine? Yeah. After all these years of struggle, Geno takes him on his back.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be it. One and done. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, he looks sharp, though, man. We'll give him his props for now.
Yeah. On to some other news. Talk about Josh Jacobs. Not officially charged with anything. The Brown County District Attorney Office told the Packers in a July 23rd email that the investigation is still open. They said they'll update when there's a resolution. Jacobs has denied the allegations through his attorney. He's been practicing through the offseason program and is expected to keep practicing in camp. So we're not going to speculate on a legal matter on a fantasy show, but what we will tell you is what the market is doing. He's up almost 9 spots in the last 7 days to an ADP of around 35. So what are your thoughts on, the personal situation going on in real life versus the draft capital we've got to spend to acquire him?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I might have said this before, but I think at this point, like we saw with Kamara, we saw with some of these guys, as it gets really close to the start of the season and some things are still up in the air or whatever and things are kind of unclear, it's hard to discipline somebody during the season. So I think once we get around September, he should probably be, okay on that kind of stuff. But my concern is probably just the regression in terms of his efficiency, and just the fact that it seems like the last couple of years he's been gimpy and kind of like limping around, and his lower body injuries have been starting to pile up and create problems for him. And I think he's still got really strong touchdown numbers. He's the guy when they get down close, they would love to feed him. I think he had a game with like 3 touchdowns, and he's obviously a bull down there. But with his ADP climbing back up, into that like early third range, I'm out on him for more reasons than just whatever off the field stuff. It really comes down to the fact that he's got a ton of miles on him. I mean, he's been starting games ever since he was drafted there in the first round by the Raiders, and he's been getting a pretty heavy workload. So I think it's just starting to take a toll, and I would rather go and opt for somebody else. He's just not safe in my opinion. You're going to get to the point where you're in the middle of the season, like who's the handcuff there? Oh my God, I got to roster somebody because he's beat up again. So he should be okay, but if he keeps climbing, I'll probably be out at his price.
Yeah, definitely agreed there. Ooh, yeah, I feel like we hear the same names year after year, and Jacobs has been great for a long time, but that takes some wear and tear on your body. Let's talk some new blood. Maybe some anti-Jacobs, let's catch the next wave of folks.
Yes.
So little new segment here. It's got a rule attached. So each week we're going to try and bring a name to the show no one's said out loud before, and it has to be outside the top 50. So I'm going to go first with mine. My pick is going to be one Jaden Higgins, receiver from Houston. 6'4", 215 in his second year. In his rookie year, had 41 catches, 500-plus yards, 6 TDs on 68 targets. That is not too shabby. Standing out since second practice. Seems to be a consensus national breakout pick. You've got some folks over the Athletic calling him as a Texan most likely to leap. ADP's on the rise a tiny bit, jumped from around 138 to around 129. Big red zone threat. His size profile is one that Stroud's never had before, and he's still going outside the top 25. So that's how I'm keeping an eye on. I'm big on, Houston, that offense, Higgins, Stroud. Yeah, sign me up for that cost.
I like it, dude. That's a good call. I like Higgins. When he was at Iowa State, man, he was super productive when it was him and Noel and those guys. He was lining up. He's super versatile, so I like his game. He's not just a big boundary guy. I think he can move inside in the slot and play. I think you could move him around a number of different places, and he's very smooth. Good red zone guy, like you said. So that's a hell of a good pick, dude. I really like the Higgins spot, for you on that one. But my guy, he's sort of gaining a little bit of steam in the community. I'm going to go ahead and say Josh Downs. I think his ADP is somewhere right around. Is probably climbing a little bit, somewhere around 120 last I looked or so, maybe 115, but just an absolute PPR machine. This kid was stellar at North Carolina. He was super productive. They go out, they get him, but, he was kind of waiting in line. They had Pittman and they had Pierce, who was kind of, they were playing in the 2 wide receiver sets, and Downs was sort of limited to that slot duty, right? Okay, so Pittman leaves. Opens a really nice sized door for Josh Downs to get some volume now. And Steichen has been talking him up, and he's playing in 2 wide receiver sets. Pierce is missing a ton of time right now, so he is absolutely my guy that I'm targeting in pretty much every single draft. You can get him like the first guy on your bench, or if you play in a really, with 3 flexes or something, he could have him as your last flex, and he's the best value that there is at that point of the draft. I will take him a full round early and feel fine with it. Especially PPR, man. He's going to catch 80 to 85 balls. He probably has over 900 yards, can get over 5, 6, 7 touchdowns. So just at that point, Pierce is missing the whole offseason. Like, give me Josh Downs every day of the week. He's my favorite sleeper. He's the guy that I really don't want to leave any of my drafts without.
Yeah, at that cost, having a bench player who could function as a starter when needed, that's pretty nifty.
Yep.
Not too bad there.
Stealing.
Talk about some risers and fallers. Got Bo Nix moving up 10 spots. Got Jalen Waddell moving up a little bit. Got Dylan Sampson moving up a little bit. Gunnar Helm, Dalton Schultz, Jaden Reed. So if you had to take one of those folks, who would you grab?
Yeah, if I punt completely and I need a tight end, I'm telling you, Dalton Schultz has had some tight end 1 finishes, back end tight end 1 finishes. I really don't mind him. If you want to wait around and grab a guy like, Dalton Schultz and pair him with like Kittle or something and just kind of wait for Kittle to get right, I think he's a hell of a good deal late in drafts. You can get him in the very last round. So yeah, I think he's a really good deal. Jaden Reed, I like Jaden Reed. I know he just got paid some money, but it's a murky situation. It feels like a matter of time before Watson has problems, health related or whatever problems. Obviously, he got his bag. So, but they also have Golden. They also have Kraft, who looks healthy. So, I think Reed is at a fair price, but I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to get him. I if he falls, I'll get him. As like similar position to Downs where, hey, on my bench or whatever, he's a guy that can pop off, but he's not a guy I'm targeting. But how do you feel about those guys?
Yeah, it depends on how my draft shakes out. I'm not mad at anybody that late in the draft. Great dart throw. I'm also not planning on having to rely on anybody that late in the draft if things, work out the right way. That said, maybe there's some, I tend to be like you and take my quarterbacks late. So maybe Nix is a guy I can go grab if, I miss out on old Tyler Shuck, who we cannot go out one episode without mentioning.
I know, right? I know. You're right, though, Bo. Bo is a great value, back-to-back quarterback 7 finishes, and it feels like he added a really nice new piece, and people are still kind of disrespecting him. I know he had the injury and some other concerns, but feels like he's cleared and he should be, good to go. So, man, you're right. That's a hell of a good deal there if you punt QB and you want to go grab a guy who's proven to be solid at the very least.
Mm-hmm. Man, we're going to have a short episode today. What do you want to leave the folks with? Who you liking, who you loving, who you staying away from?
So I've been keeping up, on all the beat reporters and all the news stations and all the clips and all that stuff, and it feels so good to have football back. First and foremost, I saw a little video of Sonny Styles, the rookie linebacker for the Commanders. And he was just had sweat, first full day of pads, sweat dripping off his face. He had blood stains all over his shirt. I'm like, yes, we're so back, baby.
It's more time.
It's so good to see camp. But for me, I think in the last couple days, the guys that I've been watching do really, really well. It looks like Cam Ward is progressing and becoming the guy that I've been calling him to be. And he's been hooking up, man, with Carnell Tate down the field like crazy. They had 2 deep bombs today. Tate got behind everybody and did like a somersault into the end zone and just absolutely housed it. So, people forget that Neighbors was super successful his rookie year with Daboll there. So love Tate, love Cam Ward. It really seems like they're ready to make that jump. So yeah, look out for those guys, man, because those highlights are daily coming out of Titans camp. So definitely be mindful of those guys.
Good stuff. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Don't forget to grab your copy of the draft kit, which Ryan works so hard on. Go to fantasyboss.com/draft kit. It's free for the first 1,000 folks and give you some great expert takes, keep you on top of your draft and ahead of the market. But yeah, shoot us any questions, comments, concerns, find us on our social media, and we'll catch y'all next week.
Hit us up. Make sure to get that draft kit now. It'll help you a lot.
Yeah. Thanks, y'all.
Peace.